Hello, my name is Al Williams and welcome to Impact. I want to talk to you about misplaced priorities in politics. More importantly, how excessive spending on prisons and jails have a direct effect on our education system and how it has forced taxpayers and our elected leaders to fail our children. Just a few statistics before we get started. Right now there are 2.3 million people in jail in the United States of America. The United States of America makes up 1/4 of the entire prison population in the world. 2.3 million people is equivalent to 1/4 of the entire prison population in the world. I think there's something wrong with that statistic. I think there's something wrong with the fact that one country makes up 1/4 of the entire prison population in the world. A lot of the people who are in jail or prison have low education attainment, meaning they didn't graduate from high school, might not have finished junior high school, didn't go to college. A lot of them are people of color. A lot of them are drug addicted or have had a drug addiction throughout their life. And a lot of them were unemployed or underemployed and had a history of being underemployed or unemployed throughout their life before going to prison. Our elected leaders have their priorities completely mixed up, completely misconstrued, and completely misplaced. For instance, over the past 2 decades, the past 20 years, the criminal justice system has come to grow and assume a much larger role in each and every state budget. Has gained or accrued a larger proportion of state discretionary funds or dollars from the state budget. State spending, for instance, has grown about 6 times the amount. State spending on prisons has grown about 6 times the amount that each state spends on higher education. I think that shows you where our priorities are for spending more money on prisons than we do on our education system. In 2009, for example, 2009 was the 1 year in the past 30 years where we've had the worst recession ever. In 2009, it was similar, a lot of people say, to the Great Depression in the earlier decades in the 1900s. And in 2009, cities, states, and counties, local governments, spent more money on the prison system. They increased their budget for spending on penitentiaries and jails and decreased their budget and spending on education. Funding for K-12 and higher education declined dramatically across the country just in the year 2009. And for that same year, in 2009, 33 states actually increased and had spent more money on prisons and jails in 2009 while they eliminated funding for K-12 education and higher education. Right now, government spending on prisons, government spending on prisons in each and every state combined is currently the second fastest growing public investment in our country. I'll say it again. The second fastest growing public investment in our country right now is the dollars that we spend on prisons and jails. If you ask me, that's misplaced priorities. At the beginning of 2009, states throughout the country experienced a lot of trouble paying for their priorities, paying to keep pools open, paying to keep libraries open, paying to keep mass transit systems running. But at the same time, they were able to afford to spend more money on the penitentiary systems. I think there's a problem when we put more emphasis on prison uniforms and less emphasis on caps and gowns. We got our priorities mixed up. We need to change the game. I'll be right back to give you some solutions on how we can do that. Hello, welcome back to Impact. My name is Al Williams, and today we're talking about misplaced priorities that our state leaders have, with an emphasis on the impact excessive spending on prisons and jails have on our education system and our children. In the last segment, I talked about budget shortfalls from state to state for cities as well as counties, and during those budget shortfalls, somehow, some way, our state leaders have found a way to increase spending on prisons and decrease spending for our children on education. In the budget battle, basically, our education system is losing. I also gave an example, the state of Michigan and the city of Detroit. The state of Michigan is currently in one of the worst budget shortfalls ever in the history of the state of Michigan. And the city of Detroit has the largest school district in the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan has increased spending on penitentiaries and decreased spending on education. The city of Detroit has taken the largest cut when it comes to that education budget. So much so that the state has proposed to the city of Detroit school district, proposed that in order to save money, this is what you should do. You should increase class sizes. That means K through 3rd grade, kindergarten to 3rd grade, 30 students per classroom, 30 students K through 3rd grade. 4th and 5th grade, 37 students per classroom, 37 students in the 4th and 5th grade. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, 45 students per classroom. And oh my gosh, a whopping 60 students in high school classes. Who's going to learn? Where are the priorities? How do our children learn in classroom sizes like that? You know, all the while, our state leaders are cutting education budgets. The budgets for penitentiary systems are being increased. And this is clearly a clear indication of misplaced priorities. You know, I believe the benefits of smaller class sizes and student performance in smaller classes is undisputable. I think the benefits are tremendous. Kids learn more, they're more able to relate to each other, they learn more from each other, and they spend more time with their teacher to learn